For thousands of years, it lived only in stories. A glittering city at the edge of the world, where pharaohs were crowned and gods were said to walk among men. Its harbor was the gateway to Egypt, its temple the place where kings received the right to rule. Heroes from legend passed through its gates. And then, roughly 2,000 years ago, it slipped beneath the waves and vanished from the maps, from memory, from history itself. Generations of explorers combed the deserts and the riverbanks looking for it. They found nothing. Slowly, the world decided the place had never been real at all, that it was a tale spun by ancient writers, a myth dressed up as memory. But one man refused to let the story go. He believed the city was real, and he believed it was hiding in the one place nobody had thought to look. Not under the sand of the land, but under the water of the sea. The hunt begins off the northern coast of Egypt, in a wide and restless bay east of Alexandria. The clues come from texts written more than 2,000 years ago, fragments of geography buried in legend. They speak of a mighty port in the delta of the Nile, a temple to the gods, a city woven through with canals. Using magnetic probes and high-resolution sonar, the team begins to map the seabed inch by inch, scanning a stretch of water 40 miles across. Days pass with nothing, then weeks, then months. Doubt is a heavy thing to carry when you are the one who promised there was something down there. Year after year, the search drags on, and it would be easy to believe the whole expedition is chasing a ghost. Then the instruments catch something. A disturbance in the readings, a place where the seabed has been changed by something that was not put there by nature. The divers go down expecting wonders and find only flat sand. But the data insists, so they dig. A few feet beneath the silt, fragments of pottery appear, then something pale and solid. A block of limestone, cut clean, preserved as though it were carved yesterday. There is no limestone in this bay. The nearest source lies far to the south, which means a human being quarried this, shaped it, and carried it here on purpose. More blocks emerge from the dark, stacked and aligned, the unmistakable bones of a wall. By draining the water and sand away with computer imaging, we can finally see what the divers could not. A vast structure rising from the seabed, hundreds of feet long, the footprint of something enormous. And just beyond the limestone, a different stone entirely. Black granite carved into the bodies of lions with the faces of men. Sphinxes, guardians, 7 of them lined up the way they always stood, leading the way to something sacred. Whatever rests here is ancient, and it is unmistakably Egyptian. This is no longer sand and shadow. This is a temple lost beneath the Mediterranean, exactly where the old stories said a city should be. There is more. As the team clears away hundreds of tons of sediment, faces begin to surface from the deep. Giant limbs, a colossal foot, a head of red granite so large the divers cannot believe it belongs to a single figure. 3 statues take shape as the pieces are reassembled, each one taller than 3 men standing on each other's shoulders, each weighing several tons. 2 of them wear royal crowns, a pharaoh and his queen standing watch at the temple gate. The sheer scale of them tells us this was no minor shrine, but a place of power. By comparing the carving style to dated temples upriver, experts place these figures in the final age of the pharaohs, the centuries just before Rome swallowed Egypt whole. That is precisely the era when the legendary city was said to be at its height. The dates line up, the scale lines up, the location lines up, but there is still one question the ruins have not answered. Who was this temple built to honor? The answer waits at the very heart of the temple, where a small shrine of red granite stands in the place reserved for the most important god. Down its sides run faint lines worn nearly smooth by time. Hieroglyphs. When the inscription is finally read, the ancient message speaks across 23 centuries. It names the god of the temple, the very god who granted the pharaohs their right to rule, the god whose blessing made a man a king. And an inscribed stone kept in a museum in Cairo, written in 3 languages, confirms that this same temple carried a second name, the name the Greeks gave it long ago. With a single artifact, the puzzle closes. This is the temple from the legend. This is the lost city. It was never a myth. It was here all along, waiting in the dark. Now the search turns to the city itself. Stone temples can survive beneath the sea, but homes and palaces built of mud brick dissolve into nothing. To find the ghost of the streets, the team brings in instruments tuned to detect wood and clay rather than stone. Not far from the temple, the sound waves return something strange and solid. The divers descend, and within hours they uncover timbers. Wooden beams lying where they have lain since the age of the pharaohs. Draining the sediment away reveals the full shape, the skeleton of an ancient ship, its hull broad and flat, its planks intact. But the design is unlike anything seen before. The boards are short and overlapping, fitted together in a strange brick-like pattern that appears in no other wreck on record. The wood itself is acacia, a stubborn, twisting tree, poor for shipbuilding but one of the few that can endure Egypt's punishing heat. The flat hull and the untouched timber suggest this vessel never crossed open ocean. It was built for the river, for the shallow channels of the delta. The purpose of the ship comes from an unexpected source. A Greek historian, writing 2,500 years ago, described boats built exactly this way, almost plank by plank, as though he had stood in the shipyard and watched it happen. His words let us rebuild the vessel in our minds. Short acacia boards laid like brickwork to spread the strain, forming barges 90 feet long, broad enough to haul 100 tons of cargo up and down the Nile. And scattered across the seabed around the wreck lie the proof that this was a place of constant traffic. Strange stones, each pierced with a hole for rope. Anchors, hundreds of them, cut loose when they snagged and abandoned to the deep. More than 700 in all, alongside dozens of other wrecks, the largest graveyard of ancient ships ever found anywhere on Earth. Mapping the anchors and the holes reveals the shape of a great harbor, ringed by canals, alive with vessels coming and going. Among the everyday remains, the city begins to speak. Jewelry and perfume bottles, wine jars and cooking pots, the small belongings of ordinary lives. And many of these objects were never made in Egypt at all. There is pottery from Sicily, from Greece, from coastlines all around the Mediterranean, some of it nearly 3,000 years old, gathered from at least 18 distant places. This was a crossroads of the ancient world, a port where not only goods but ideas and beliefs flowed between peoples, where Egypt opened its doors to the sea. For 5 centuries it thrived as one of the most important cities in the land, a colorful, crowded, cosmopolitan place, its riverfronts packed with ships, every bit as alive as a great harbor city today. And one final secret rests apart from the rest. A single wreck set off on its own in a canal beside the temple, unlike anything around it. Long, slender, beautifully made, too narrow to carry cargo or passengers. It is not built of acacia, but of sycamore, the sacred tree of life, the wood bound up with the rising of the sun god and the body of the sky goddess. A carving on a temple wall far to the south shows a vessel exactly like it, a barge built to carry the image of a god in procession. This was no ordinary ship. It was a floating shrine, sailing the canals of a city that the world had given up for legend. Beneath the Mediterranean, myth and history have finally become one, and a place written off as a story stands revealed as something far more astonishing: the truth.